Hello, Danhausen here. Danhausen here to let you know that you are watching Dre41 Gaming. They do video games of some sort. Who knows? Danhausen doesn't. But you're very nice, very evil, do time. And if you do not watch this channel, you shall rue the day.
What's up, y'all? It is your boy Dre41, aka Mr. 4K, aka El Fuego, Spicy Dre, and welcome to another episode of the Let's Talk podcast. On this episode today, you probably seen him in a recent video game trailer for the Wrestling Code. It is none other than Tony Chini. What's up, man?
What's going on, Dre? How you doing? It's good to see you as always.
Yeah, good to see you, man. I mean, me and Tony Chini met last year in Jersey for the first round of mocap, right?
That's right. That's right.
It
seems like it's like mixed. It seems like it's so much longer ago, and then at the same time, it doesn't feel like it was that long at all.
Right?
It's wild. It's really been wild.
And that was a crazy 3 days, and I know for sure that you have some crazy stories about your adventures in the mocap realm, and getting everything ready for this game. And but we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. But first and foremost, let's get into the most recent news about you, is you being in a trailer for a video game. Tell me about it, man. Tell me about that experience and setting that up.
I mean, honestly, it's very surreal. It's kind of still setting in, honestly. I mean, it literally happened while I was at my regular job. I was just standing there. I just check my phone here and there, and all of a sudden I check my phone and I have a bunch of notifications from Twitter, and I'm like, what's going on? Because this could either be a good or bad thing when you have a lot of notifications. So I look a little bit further in and I see a text message, and I see the link to the post on Twitter, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was just amazed with how great it came out. Of course, I've been seeing the updates here and there, but to see the finished product. Yeah. And just like reminiscing on even recording all of that, is just incredible. And like I was just recently talking to Zach Ruby, who was on the podcast with me the last time I was on your podcast.
Yeah.
And he and I actually are the ones who kind of did the motions for me and Sandman.
Oh, okay.
Which is funny, because what people might not know is that I'm technically beating myself up in this trailer because I did the motions of the Sandman. And Zach Ruby performed the motions of the person getting beat up. So I was technically beating myself up, which is funny. I'm hoping I have to get things approved, obviously, but I'm hoping to release that raw footage so people can see the comparison of what we recorded and how it came up on the screen, because it's identical. It's incredible.
Yeah, when I initially seen it, because it was randomly, set up. There wasn't an announcement saying that a trailer's coming. It just, boom, it was out there in the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community. Yeah, let's go with that. So we seen it, and man, it was so many, I seen so many positive reactions towards it. And for you seeing those positive reactions, what does that do for you in regards to the work that you've been putting in, helping with the game?
It's very flattering. It's very, very flattering because I could sit here and be like, people are keep mentioning the game. Why aren't they mentioning me? But that's the point. I don't care. I don't care about me. And the game is huge. Like the fact that it's not just about me. It's also the fact that they're putting my home, my hometown promotion in there. GTS Wrestling. That's where I got my start. After I trained, that was my first place. It was the first place to give me an opportunity. And for everything to come full circle, for me to represent GTS in this game, it meant so much more. It's not just about me. It's about what it means for GTS. It's about what it means for the Wrestling Code. You know what I mean? It's such a big moment for all of us. And honestly, I'm just so happy to be able to share it with everybody. And even, for you, you're for those of you who don't know, the design of the shirt even that I was wearing in the game is your design that you made for me, which is available on prowrestlingtees.com/Tony.
Link in the description below.
That's right.
Yeah, so I mean, it's so cool getting to see, from the very beginnings, just of the mocap to now seeing trailers with you in it. And I mean, for people who don't know, man, Tony Chini has, I want to say, for damn near every trailer, not every trailer, but a lot of the work that you've seen, man, it's Tony Chini. That's the guy right there. And I mean, he's got to mocap with Kurt Angle, Rob Van Dam, so many different like legends within the business. What was that experience for you, just being able to mocap with them and learn from them?
Um, one of my favorite experiences when I get to do that with those people is to look into their eyes face to face when you're in the ring with them. Is just like it's really surreal. I mean, like you would never think that like I would never think that I would be face to face in the ring, with Kurt Angle,
Right.
and you know that as soon as he yells action, he's about to put you in that ankle lock, or he's about to give you the ankle slam, and
Right.
you have form it well. So it's a lot of it's you have that a little bit of anxiety, but the thing is like luckily now that like I've done it a few times, and like the not the process of like being in front of somebody I admire, but also the process of just like being like in the motion capture and doing the motion capture itself is getting a lot easier for me. So it's becoming a lot more comfortable for me to help guide them through it or anything, and it's incredible to see some of these guys turn it on.
Right.
Like Diamond Dallas Page, for instance. He just he comes up and he's always cool. You know what I mean? He's just
Right.
always a cool. He's always that cool guy. But once he gets into that mode of like Diamond Dallas Page and he's in that ring and he's doing his thing, I mean, it's really cool to see him snap into it, and to see Kurt Angle, like he did the motion capture of him taking down his straps and flexing, and you see his neck veins popping out of his neck, and it's like this is the real deal.
Yeah.
We're here, we're live. One experience, if I could share it with you, that I just had.
Mhm.
If you go back on the Instagram, on the Virtual Basement Instagram, the post before the last trailer was me with Rob Van Dam,
Right.
and Rob Van Dam, he did the monkey flip to me, right? And let me tell you, dude, standing in that corner,
Mhm.
watching Rob Van Dam, who's a deceivingly big man,
Okay.
roll at you and jump at you like a tiger. And no pun intended because of his gear, but I'm saying like a
Right.
tiger. He pounced at me and latches on, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I really hope I can get myself to go far. I didn't get myself to do nothing. He did. He shot. His legs are so incredibly strong that he just
Right.
shot me up. I could have done a 450 splash if I knew where I was. It was crazy.
Right.
It
That's
was,
wild.
but no, but to sum it up, it's just a really incredible experience to be working with a lot of these people. Nunzio is an incredible person that I got to work with because obviously very influenced by Nunzio.
Right.
It's just crazy to get to talk with these people and learn from them even.
Yeah, and I mean, and it also involves a lot of traveling too, to go to these different locations and go to these different schools. I mean, what was that experience like? Were you able to, get some, gems from these legends of the industry?
Yeah, I mean, I got to see a lot of different training facilities. I got to work now at the Nightmare Factory a few times. I've gotten to go over to what's it called? I believe it's called Iron City Wrestling,
Okay.
and that's in Pittsburgh. That's where we worked with Kurt Angle, and that place was really cool.
Mm,
We've got to work a whole bunch in Massachusetts at the Bell Time Club, and that place that's like the original stomping grounds for Killer Kowalski, where he would train people. And
okay.
I mean, honestly, it's just been incredible to meet all these people. I mean, I got to see where Zach Gowen trained originally, and
Mm,
I got to train with him there, and not train, work with him there, and not train
yeah.
with him, but it's still really cool to be able to pick everybody's brains and see, and also to see how a lot of these different facilities run and how they work. And we've really been to the bottom of the barrel, and
Yeah.
we've been to the top. You know what I'm saying? And like
Yeah.
we've seen everything in between. And not saying that the bottom of the barrel, it's not all bad down there. I mean, there's a lot
Right.
of good things you can learn from there, but it's really cool to see how it works itself up. How there's a place that kind of looks like my basement here could be a wrestling school. I mean, just dingy and dirty, but you're still going to learn there just as
Right.
much, if not more, than the Nightmare Factory, which is a beautiful giant facility with 4 rings inside, and
Oh, damn.
I mean, yeah, it's very, very cool. And it's part of a bigger sports facility. So there's a full gym in there. There's, I mean, plenty of room to work out. It's crazy, but I'm taking notes because my long-term goal for wrestling would be to open a wrestling school. And I would love to do that. Obviously this is years of the future, and see where it goes, but to get the experience to see how all these different places run and kind of take something from each one, you know, I'm hoping that that helps me in the future.
Yeah, no, I mean that's so cool to like have those plans set. You know what I'm saying? Just have that you know that long term planning in regards to what you want to bring back to the business. But I mean, also going back to the game within itself. I mean, you being a pivotal character within this game itself, mainly because it's like you're doing so much of the mocap. Now let's talk about movesets, and let's talk about your moveset in particular. Have your moveset been completely done? Have you been able to mocap everything you've wanted for your character in the game?
So I'm actually happy that you mentioned that because how I really got to even doing all this this extra motion capture was
Mhm.
because they contacted me. As you know, their first place that they went for wrestling moves was New Jersey. So
Right.
they contacted me for that, and I made myself available. And I was one of the first people, I think actually the first person to start recording their moves.
Hmm.
But I kind of don't really want to use any of what I did that day because I've learned so much about how the motion capture process has like changed even since then. Like the stuff that we use is updated, and
Hmm.
we have so many different like easier ways to do our process, and we know how we are going to get into certain moves to make it look smooth in the game. So
Right.
there's a lot like I would like to redo. I mean, I've
Mm.
read just my base moves, like what you saw in that gameplay trailer, me walking around and running the ropes and climbing up and down. I did that probably 3 or 4 times, like fully,
Mm.
and that's because each time, like and also working with these different people, you see what they do, and you're like, man, I'm not going to copy that, but man, like maybe I could do a little something different there. Maybe I could change that up, how I do that or how I do this. And sometimes even like Ruckus is somebody that took a lot of time and showed me a lot of different things and how I can. I'm really I like to not really do as much athletic like crazy flips and stuff. I like to really like work with my elements and like things that are around the ring and things like that. And he was showing me a lot because Ruckus is very good with that kind of stuff, and he was showing me a lot of that. So I want to try to incorporate that into my move set. So there's a lot of things that I've kind of like seen since then and learned since then that I want to put into my move set. And I'm not trying to make myself obviously the best character in the game. I'm far from that. There's plenty of people in there way better than me, but I want to try to make it the best I can.
Mm. Now we can still expect the Death Valley Driver and the Shining Wizard.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah, yeah. We're gonna try to get some different variations of the Shining Wizard, and hopefully I also have been using a different finisher. It's Devon Dudley used to use it. It was the saving grace. It was the
Right.
lifting DDT.
Mhm.
So honestly, I'll tell you the story. I had to start using that at one of my local promotions here because they have a big ring in a small building, and I don't have room to hit my DVD. So
Oh,
so I had to figure something out because otherwise, if I don't have a finisher, how am I going to win?
facts. Facts.
But yeah, I mean, either way, I'm just trying to incorporate everything I got in there, and I want to make sure that, like I said, like you get the best of Tony Chini
Mm.
in this game.
Right. And also, as far as, your character goes in this game, we have seen or heard from the developers in regards to attires and things of that nature. Now, in regards to also updating your move set as well and maybe your motions for your character, have you given any thought about maybe updates to the look of your character as well, maybe different attires? Because I do see that you have a different attire now than what you initially had for the start of the game. Is that something that you're looking into possibly having added to the game as well?
That's one of those things that I don't know how much I can comment on, but also like at the same time, I don't know too much about how that's going to change. Cause like the attire that you saw in the commercial that came out, the tech demo, that's like my standard, base attire. That's like the Tony Chini attire that you've seen for the last I guess about 2 years now.
Mm.
But like you said, they come up with something that's FBI themed that I just recently started wearing, and I'd love to feature that in the game. And that's pretty much all I could say about that for now.
No, completely understood with that one. So, moving in a different direction, we did talk about the wrestling code. Let's also talk about, what you're doing currently with professional wrestling in real life. How is that going for you? And, what are you learning in the process?
So again, I'm glad you asked because this last year, I have not been taking as many like regular independent shows as I usually would the last couple of years.
Mhm.
I mean, like my first few years, I just anything and everything. Like I was there, even if I wasn't wrestling, I was just helping out, doing anything, offering a hand. I just wanted to be seen.
Right.
Uh, Now, with the video game, I've been doing so much focus on the motion capture that I don't want to risk overworking myself and maybe possibly injuring myself
Mhm.
and not being able to go out and doing this motion capture because it's afforded me a lot of things. And I mean, I've been able to see and do a lot of things that I never would have thought I could do. And
Mhm.
just unfortunately, a lot of independent wrestlers
Oh,
can't
sorry.
offer thing. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, as far as shows coming up, I still make appearances from here from time to time at GTS Wrestling, of course.
Mhm.
We just had our first live event. We were supposed to have our first live event pre-COVID, and then COVID happened, so it got canceled. But now
Right.
we just had Island. A lot of our fans came out. It was a really great time. Excuse me, but it was a really great time and it was really flattering to see some of the fans come out and they pay attention, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Another promotion I've been working for is Lock Target Wrestling here in New Jersey, LTW. We have a show called Carnival of Chaos coming up in Old Bridge, October 15th. If you guys are going to be in New Jersey, around New Jersey, if you can make the trip, October 15th, I'm telling you right now, it's a week from today. I don't know if you're going to post this today, but a week from when I'm talking about this.
Right.
And October 15th is the point. If you could be there, try to be there because it's going to be a really good time. We're trying to set it up to make it look like a real carnival. We're not trying to make it just like a name or something like that. We want to make it really cool. We have court jesters. We got crazy people from the woods. We got it all. I mean, it's going to be a great show. If you guys want to check out LTW on YouTube, we have weekly content that we put out to hype people up for the shows. We have kind of like, just content promos, couple small matches, all that kind of stuff. So check out LTW. Other than that, I also do Pro Wrestling Explosion in Philadelphia. If you guys want to check that out on IWTV. We also have Standalone Wrestling. There's a huge show coming up, the Contest of Champions, December 3rd. Sting is going to be there. Jerry the King Lawler is going to be there. Sergeant Slaughter, Frankie Edgar from UFC is going to be there.
Oh.
I can't remember his name, but there's one of the players from the Mets is going to be there. But he's a local guy to New Jersey. Which is why tons of great independent talents and even legends alike are going to be there. Jerry the King Lawler is not only going to be signing autographs but performing on the show. Sting is also going to be doing an in-ring promo or segment of some sort. So you guys are definitely going to want to check that out. To my knowledge, I should be there. I should be wrestling. I can't give you the specifics on that yet, but I'm very excited as long as things go to plan for what's in store for you guys. So that's what's coming up right now. October 15th, LTW, December 3rd, Standalone Wrestling. And in between, just check out my Instagram, check out my Twitter, and I'll be posting it,
Yeah, and that's something I also wanted to talk to you about too, is also GTS and LTW as well, because both of those are prominent YouTube channels in regards to, independent wrestling. So for you being within both of those shows, how was that experience for you, and how was that for you to initially get your name out there?
I mean, if we're going to start with GTS, I mean, they were already established, obviously, before I went on there. They were well established. They were almost at 1 million subscribers at that point. I mean, they were at their second warehouse at this point. They were killing it on views, had great views, and I just kind of got in there. I mean, really, I was lucky. Right place, right time. I had already had training through 911 and his son, Big Vin Poling.
Mhm.
And after the training, their school ended up closing down, and I kind of just didn't know where to go from there. I didn't know how to get myself booked. There's just certain pieces missing. You know what I mean? So I started kind of coming up with a character, and then one of the guys from GTS saw me and was like, "Hey, we just started talking online." And he asked me for a ride to GTS one day.
Mhm.
And I was Yeah, so I went. Of course, I brought my gear, which wasn't much. It was my, my training shorts, my training pads, and I had a shirt that said the delivery boy on it because that was my, my gimmick that I came up with. Which
Right.
you want to even call it that because I had nothing at that point. It's just something I came up with. But they liked it, and Grim was like, "Let's try it out." And my first ever match ever in a wrestling ring, like full match put together, was against Grim for the Intercontinental Championship on GTS. And so, like I said before, to be able to represent them for this video game was huge for me because they're the first people, other than Big Al, of course, in 911, who gave me that chance to train. They're the first people that gave me that platform to entertain and to perform. And I couldn't thank them enough for doing that for me. And I stayed with them for years. I won, pretty much all the titles on there, and I love being there. And like I said, we just had our first live event. We have those fans that come out and they're talking to me about segments that I did 4 years ago, and they remember, they love it, and that's flattering to me. But with LTW, I'm not sure if you know this, but I mean, really, where they film is 15, 20 minutes away from each other. So they're very close. And also they have characters that intertwine with each other. They have some of the same characters and stuff. But LTW, their first show was just one of the guys, the guy who owns it, Ace Marksman. He was doing a birthday party. It was his son's first birthday party. So he rented a ring and he just asked a couple of his buddies, me included, if they can come and put on a show for his son. And we did it. And we came out, we did it. We had a great time, and from there, things just started talking, and they were like, you know what? I mean, we got a good group of guys here. Why don't we try to do this? And they started running shows, and I've been a part ever since that first show. I drove this funny story. I drove all the way the day before that first show. It wasn't even a show; it was a birthday party. And the day before that first birthday party show, I drove all the way from where I live to Pittsburgh, which is about a 7-hour drive. And it was basically, I was going there because I was promised a match, and then things didn't go as planned. I didn't get the match. I drove all the way there for nothing, pretty much.
Wow.
And the next morning, I woke up early. I drove all the way to this show for this birthday party, and had the time of my life. You know what I mean? Like the day before, I was mad at the business. I was like, I drove all the way out here for nothing, and blah blah blah. Because it's not like if I drove out there, did ring crew, made some good connections and left, and that would be good. But it went south, say that much. And I'm not going to mention names, companies, whatever. But when I drove all that time to get to that show and it went so well and see the smile on the kids' faces and everything, it made it worth it. You know what I mean? Right. So LW is another huge part of me that I love being with them. They're great. I also love storytelling and wrestling. And as I mentioned before, LTW, we do weekly episodes on YouTube, and we try to tell a story leading up to each live show. Because LTW is not a company that does monthly live shows. They do more bi-monthly or something along those lines. So we have to keep fans involved. And the way that we do that is by featuring a lot of our roster members on the YouTube show. So,
all right. And you know what, that makes sense because the reason why I wanted to get into that, and you kind of beat me to the punch about talking about, GTS and LTW, was because I initially, initially going to the first round of motion capture and going to Grimm's house, which was crazy to me because I was like, I kind of knew who he was, but not really, because I initially seen him do reviews on action figures and things like that a while ago. That's how I initially got in contact with his stuff. And then I was like, wait a minute, he has a wrestling company too? I'm like, okay, cool. So, and then I seen on YouTube him having feuds and stuff with the owner of LTW, and that's what got me on to watching LTW as well. So it's good that you kind of beat me to the punch. But yeah, I've definitely seen a couple of episodes of LTW, and yeah, I mean it definitely puts a lot of eyes on a lot of independent talent, which is definitely good to do, because I think wrestling now, and I don't know, what your opinion about it is. And yeah, matter of fact, yeah, let's get your opinion about it. That wrestling now, I think, has grown so much more than it has within the past, let's say, 10 years.
Yeah, for sure. It really has. And I can agree with that. I could also disagree in some ways. Some people are starting to get out of it. You know what I mean? Which is natural. That's just how people, it's the natural flow of things. All the people, they watched the Attitude Era, they thought it was awesome. And then the Ruthless Aggression Era came in and they were like, this is still okay. And then it got and then you lost those people. And then a couple years later, right, things start tensing up, and you get those people back. Oh man, I remember him. Oh man, I remember watching wrestling. Oh, I'm gonna watch wrestling again. It's always a process, and it's always gonna go like that, I feel like. But right now, there's a lot of those fans that are coming back, especially like with all this stuff with Vince McMahon leaving, Triple H taking over WWE, all this crazy, backstage drama with AEW. People, what I found about the fans is that they really enjoy getting involved with people's personal lives. And so, or even if they think that it's their personal lives, you know what I'm saying? If it's the story, the illusion, that's what they want to see is realism. Is like, like they're tired of the hokey stuff at this point. Like it's getting back into that attitude era, not attitude era especially, but like, just they want more realism is what they want. And like for them to see all this backstage drama and have CM Punk come out and cut a promo on this guy and what it's like, they love that, they'll feed into. And it's just going to make them want to watch more and more. But then it's also going to make the wrestlers want to do that more and more. So now the wrestlers are going to start talking about this guy's, whatever, this. And it's just, it gets dirty. You know what I mean? It gets dirty for a while. But it's good at least that there's a pop. It's good that people are enjoying wrestling. And it's really just, it's up to the individual wrestler to do what they do and put whatever impact they're going to put on wrestling in. You know what I mean? So
there's
a lot of people out there that they're doing their thing, and I'm just doing my thing.
In regards to like promos and stuff like that, I always feel like there's a fine line in between like doing promos that continue a feud or to build up a match, and then where it's just like, all right, what was the point of that? You know what I'm saying? And not to get into like too much detail, but I remember that we went to a show not too long ago where it got kind of wonky about that with you. And my question is just like, in regards to like cutting promos to build up a match or, to build up a feud, whatever the case may be, like, do you think that there's a line where it's just like, all right, let's keep it here. Let's not go too far off.
Absolutely. It's about professionalism. And like at the end of the day, we're talking now, but if we were in a feud with each other, I'm going to say some stuff about you and whatever. I'm going to talk some crap. I'm going to have to build you up though, because that's part of wrestling. If I just sit here and I say Dre's the worst wrestler in the world, and I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna beat the crap out of him, smack him around, hit him with my finisher, and pin him 1, 2, 3, and then leave. Why is anybody even going to watch the match? I just told them what's going to happen. I told them that you suck. Why do they care? But if I told them, man, Dre's been around the scene for years. Dre has beaten some of the top guys in this business, but so have I. And I could show Dre that even though he thinks he's the top guy, I'm the top guy when it comes to blah, blah, blah company. You know what I mean? And it's like, now I put you over, but I'm better than you. And now it's like, let's see that, That's how I like to do a promo. Like I can easily go on here and be like, Dre's mama sucks or something. But why would I do that? Like why? Yeah. Like that's just, it's insulting. And I don't know what's going on in your life to where that might trigger you. Right. Like that might be something that triggers you as a human being. And I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to trigger you, yes, but I'm trying to trigger the fans. You know what I mean? And we can work that in so many different ways. If somebody wants to say something personal or anything like that to enhance the story, in my opinion, it should be talked about. You know what I mean? And like it should just be talked about. That's just plain and simple. It should be talked about. It should be discussed. And if I want to bring up like, hey Dre, like I really think that if I mention this about your mom or whatever, and then you come at me in this and whatever, then I really think that people will think that this is crazy. What do you think? It's just that simple. And now that easily I can get an answer from you where I'm not very comfortable with that, or you know what, usually I wouldn't be comfortable with that, but because you asked, I'm okay with it and let's do it. But I think that there's a place for it, but it has to be set in the right place. It can't just be, especially if like, I know that I'm ranting now, but like
that's okay. It's fine. Go ahead.
It gets me because it's like if I have a really personal feud with you that we've been building up for 6 months, 8 months, something like that, then maybe I'll talk about some personal stuff. But if we were just booked in a match on a random on EWF in the Elks Lodge of whatever Connecticut, you know, like
Yeah.
why would I be saying anything about any of that? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like, and even to address the situation in Connecticut that happened with me and Francesca, and just somebody, you know, just saying inappropriate things, and they didn't ask us about that. They told us beforehand, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, you know, I'm really gonna tear you guys apart out there. I hope you don't mind. But that's not telling, like, there's a difference. Now it became disrespectful. And obviously, I haven't returned to that company since. And I messaged both the promoter and the person afterwards, and I told them how I felt, because it's not something that you could just let go. Like, you know, and my advice for anybody listening to this who's been in a situation where somebody said something about them, they weren't comfortable about it, talk to them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I don't care how they feel. If they feel like, oh, screw you, well then screw them, because at the end of the day, there's plenty of different ways to get under somebody's skin, or make the, you know, assumption or whatever that you're getting under somebody's skin without actually doing it.
Yeah, and I mean that makes sense, because at the end of the day, this is a business, you know, and the big word about it is business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, to make money. So, you know, to you know, make it so personal to where it's like, all right, well, did that even help the match? I can understand that. I can definitely understand that. And usually, what I always do as well, and I'm pretty sure I asked you this the initial time you were on the podcast, and maybe your opinion of it might have changed. But what do you call the business you're in? Do you call it sports entertainment, or do you call it pro wrestling, or is it an amalgamation of both?
It's both. It's
Okay.
absolutely both, because I definitely consider it an athletic. You know, it's an athletic. I don't know if I can call it a sport to sport, because this is the thing. Although I'm not competing with this person in the ring to pin them in a literal sense, I am competing with this person in the ring for the crowd, for the promoter's attention, for, you know, it's a competition. Even though, like, I can be again in a match with you and they tell you that you're winning, I'm not going to want to make you look bad. I want to make us both look great, but I still want myself to stand out above the rest. And that's the competition. It's, you have to make yourself stand out above everybody else that's around you. So is it a competitive sport? Yes. But is it sports entertainment in you know, the fact that we use our athletic ability to entertain, and not just go out there and, you know, I can go out there and, you know, run at somebody and tackle them down and whatever, but the fans are just they can see that anywhere. They can go on World Star on YouTube and see. I'd rather, you know, duck the clothesline crazy, or, you know, whatever, into the Hurricane Rana, and then look at the fans and get them hyped up, because that's fun for me. It's fun for them. Get everybody involved, maybe do a little, like, something to get them involved. You don't see that in football or even UFC, which is a combative sport. You know what I mean? They don't, I mean, yeah, like at the end of their match, you know, they might get up on the cage and get all crazy at the fans, but during the match, they're not usually like, come on guys, and all that.
Yeah, they're not worried about fan participation.
Yeah, and if they are, the commentators are like, what are you doing?
Fact. That's
You know?
true. Yeah, no, that's very true. So, I mean, and it's crazy to see, like, where I initially met you with mocap, and see you now working with so many different, like, top tier legends within sports entertainment, and pro wrestling, and it's just good to see that, you know, you're going to be immortalized in a video game, man. Like, because, you know, to people who don't know, me and Tony Chini, we actually chilled, like, outside, you know, of pro wrestling. We went out to dinner together, you know, we chilled in Jersey together, and man, such a cool guy. And man, I hope, like, the best for you, because, like, you are such a hard worker, and it's like you have shown that you can be trusted on many different occasions. You know what I'm saying? Especially with this game, and just with business in general, man. And it's like, it's so cool. Like, it's really cool to get to, like, know you and see the progression that you're making. You know what I'm saying? And man, just so cool to have you on again. I definitely appreciate it, man. I really do.
I really appreciate you having me on, man. I appreciate all the kind words. You know, I try my best. I love professional wrestling as a business, as a sport. I really do, and I really just want to give back as much as I can. Is because I mean I've heard it a million times. You know, the business does not owe you anything, and you owe the business everything, is what they say. And you can argue with that. You know, but at the same time, when the business gives you as much as the business has given me, you do feel like you owe it everything. Because I would have never thought, sitting at home playing SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, that I would ever be in a video game, would ever be working with any of those guys, be mentioned in the same light as any of those guys. Never would have thought any of that. I mean, I remember sitting there. I mean, I literally still play SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. I was just playing SmackDown versus Raw 2009 before we got on here.
Wow.
Because I'm trying to play some of the older games, get a feel for, like, honestly, I'm trying to look at how they did their motion capture, how their moves out, and like how they get into certain things, and you know what I mean. But anyway, you know, the point is that when the business is giving you as much as it's given back to me, you know, that's what makes it not true. It really does give you a lot. The business gives you so much if you really put your whole work into it. You know what I mean? You got to really put work into it, or else you'll end up staying right where you are.
Yeah, facts. Now, I want to ask you one last question. Don't laugh. All right. So, if you was to give your character overall in the wrestling code, what would it be?
Come on. out of what?
Come on. 100 being the
highest overall. I deserve a 200. I've been kicked. I've been kicked in the head. I've been choke slammed. I've been body slammed. I've been cross-bodied, pile driven. I've been monkey flipped. I've been Van Terminated. I've been Van Daminated. I've been angle slammed, ankle lopped. I've been Michinoku driven. I've been tombstone pile driven. I have done everything for this game. If anybody deserves a 200 overall, it is yours truly. And I'm telling you that right now.
Oh, man. Thank you so much, Tony Chini, for coming on, man. We're going to have a link in the description below for everything for you. GTS, LTW. We also have your Pro Wrestling Tee store. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on again. If you guys want to check me out on Twitter and Instagram at TonyChini96. I'm sure he'll have the links to that as well. Also, check out my t-shirt store. We got some awesome designs on there, one or two of which Dre made, which I appreciate. If you guys could check out the wrestling code, of course, please follow Virtual Basement on all those platforms as well, and keep updated with that. And I mean, I just really appreciate you guys' support. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate the comments. I'm trying to read every single one of them. I'm trying to reply to as many of them as I can. It's very overwhelming, and I just appreciate you guys.
All right. Thank you for coming on, man. Talk to you later.
Talk to you.